I'm challenging myself to make 5 family size, enough to feed 4 people meals out of this one rotisserie chicken. So we are going to have to stretch this chicken, but I think we can do it. I had to use what was in my pantry, fridge, and freezer in creative ways to get enough protein. I made 5 delicious and healthy meals. This challenge almost didn't happen because as I was driving home with this chicken in the back seat, I was so hungry and it smells so good and I almost ate it, but I didn't because I know you guys want to watch this video. So the first step is we are going to divide this chicken. So here I have 1/4 of the chicken. And there's a 2/4 of the chicken. So I have divided my chicken into 4 pieces here. We have 2 chicken leg quarters and 2 chicken breasts. So that's going to be 1 piece of chicken per meal. And then I have the rest of my chicken bones, as well as you can see there's some meat left on the bone. So this is going to be our 5th meal. And I realized that 1 piece of this is not going to be enough protein for 4 people. Don't worry, I have a plan. We're going to make it work. So first I'm going to prep this chicken breast to go in our pasta. I'm just going to give it a quick slice. And here's what we have to work with for our first dish. Just not enough for 4 people. So interestingly enough, they have the nutrition facts here for 1/7 of the box as well as about 1/4 of the box. So we are making this entire box for our 4 servings. So 1/4 of the box has 17 grams of protein. So everybody is going to get plenty of protein between the protein pasta, which is basically, when you look at the ingredients, lentil flour, pea protein, chickpea flour, barley flour, spelt flour. And there's the ingredients. So that is where our protein is coming from. So we are going to have protein in our pasta, and we are going to have a little bit of meat for each person. My dog's over here giving me dirty looks because I didn't take her for a walk today. I'm filming this for you instead of taking her for a walk. And she isn't real happy with me about that. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you will know that I like to prep my vegetables fresh. I do meal prep every week by prepping my starches, my carbs. So this is some prepped rice. It is cold, but it is prepped. It's ready to go. I did the prep this morning, and so now that it's time to cook, I can go ahead and cook very quickly. And then the same way, I also have prepped some pasta. This is our protein pasta. So I'm going to serve my pasta with a salad on the side. It's just going to be a simple, this is some romaine that I sliced up also this morning. And then I'm just going to go ahead and dice up a little tomato, and that will get us our vegetables as well as our protein. So this meal will have protein and veggies, and it does have carbs, but it's lower in carbs. If you wanted, you could do some carrots or another veggie as a side dish. I just wanted to do a salad tonight because it's a little bit hot outside. So I thought a cold salad would be a little bit more refreshing to go with the pasta. I'm going to start by adding some butter to a skillet, and I'm just going to let it melt. Then I'm going to add some garlic. Here I'm just using some garlic just to save some time, but you can also use fresh. Adding then a little bit of paprika. You can adjust the seasonings to your own liking. I'm just using paprika as well as some Italian seasoning. Be sure to keep the spices moving in the pan just so nothing burns. Then I'm going to add some fresh cracked black pepper as well as some fresh ground salt. This is Himalayan pink salt. And now I'm adding in just about a spoon or so of flour just to thicken up. I'm going to use this to thicken up my milk, and it's going to create a thick, rich cream. So here I'm adding in about 2 cups of milk. We're going to adjust the liquid later once we see how thick this is and how much sauce we have. Now I'm adding just a spoon of the chicken bouillon for some extra flavor. I went light on the salt because the chicken bouillon has quite a bit of sodium in it. So we're primarily making this salty using the bouillon and then just adjusting the salt from there as needed. Now my sauce has thickened up and I am adding in my protein pasta, and I'm just going to adjust the milk and add a little bit of cheese because this is going to give it a nice rich flavor, but don't add too much. That way it keeps it a little bit more healthy. And then we're just going to mix it really well until all of that comes together and we have a thick and delicious sauce. And as you can see, it really didn't take much cheese because we are using the flour to thicken up this sauce. And so the sauce is mostly made out of the butter and spices and flour and milk. And then we're just adding enough cheese just to make it rich and creamy, just like a regular mac and cheese kind of dish, but quite a bit healthier because it's substantially less cheese. Then I stirred in my chicken and I also added some parsley for color. This is totally optional. I have my salad right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and plate some up for myself so that I can give this a try. And as you can see, I have a good size serving here. It's not even a quarter of the whole pan. I did not even put a quarter of the pasta on my plate. It's like half the plate, basically. Half the plate is salad, half the plate is pasta. This is a huge serving of food. This pasta dish that I just made off of one chicken breast could easily feed actually 5 people or 4 incredibly hungry people, because this is a humongous serving. Next up is our one pot meal, fried rice. So to make this rice, we're going to add some oil and sliced onion to a hot pan. Here I have my rice that's already cooked, and then we're going to go over the rest of the ingredients. So we have our sliced onion. This is about a half onion sliced, and some finely shredded up red cabbage, and some cilantro. We have about a can's worth of chickpeas. Those are not canned. I cook those fresh, but you could use canned if you don't have anything cooked. And then we have our 1 chicken leg quarter, which is basically almost 3 pieces of chicken because we have the chicken wing, chicken leg, and chicken thigh, sliced green onion, and red bell pepper. Quick check on the onions. They're starting to get browned. Next, we add whole cumin seeds, followed by whole black mustard seed and a spoon of garlic, and then we mix it to keep the garlic and spices from burning. Next, we're going to add in our turmeric. It's excellent for our health, and in this case, it gives this rice a beautiful yellow color. Then I'm going in with a spoon of coriander powder, not to be confused with cumin. Give it a mix because we absolutely don't want our spices to burn. Next, our red bell peppers go in the skillet. We're just going to saute these red bell peppers. We do not want to overcook these. It's just going to be a couple of minutes. And we're going to add just a little bit of salt. I will often also add this potato slayer veggie blend to it, but I'm all out, so I guess next time. Just keep everything moving in the pan. I have sped this next part up just to make it quicker, so you can get the idea, but you don't have to sit there and watch me do it because this takes just a few minutes. But basically, we're going to add in our rice and maybe a little bit of olive oil just to add just a bit of moisture to our fried rice. And then we are going to break down our rice into this mixture that we have on the stove, and that is going to slowly coat this rice in that turmeric and other spices, and it's going to give, as you can see, the rice has a really beautiful yellow color. This is basmati rice, so it doesn't stick together too bad, but I'm just basically pressing the rice apart from each other. Finally, in with our chickpeas. Remember, I cooked these. I meal prepped those in advance, but if you don't have that, you can always just use some canned chickpeas. And then we're going to put in our chicken leg quarter. That is the chicken wing, chicken leg, and chicken thigh meat. So between our chickpeas and those 3 pieces of chicken, we are going to have plenty of protein in this dish. And then we have our veggies all mixed in. We have a ton of veggies in here because remember, this rice is effectively basically about half rice, half vegetables, and then we have plenty of protein in there with the chicken and the chickpeas. And if you do not have chickpeas or you don't like chickpeas, alternatively, you could also scramble up an egg and then break that up into there as well. Next step is to just mix in all of our remaining vegetables. So that is going to be our sliced green onion, which I have already added. And then we are going to go ahead and add our shredded up, this is very finely shredded up red cabbage. And last but not least, we have our cilantro. So we're just going to add that in. And then we're going to give this a good mix, and we're going to combine all of these ingredients together. At this stage, we're not going to cook this any longer. We're basically going to turn off the heat. We do not want to cook the cabbage. We want to leave that texture. It's going to give our rice a really nice texture, and it's going to keep that cabbage from dyeing our rice any funny colors. Not to mention, just look how gorgeous it looks. I love the vibrant color of the red cabbage. And of course, there's lots of nutrients in this because there's just a ton of healthy, non-starchy veggies. And that's it, you guys. This is one of our favorites. We make this all the time in our house. Whenever I make charro beans, or any type of bean for that matter, I make them in large quantities and then I freeze some. So these are some of the charro beans that I made the last time I made beans. I have 2 big blocks of this, so I'm just going to take it out and I'm going to leave it in the bowl to thaw out. And we will use these to bulk up our enchiladas. And then the second block, I'm just going to pop this out. These super cubes are awesome because it makes freezing so easy. I'm just going to pop that out and I'm going to stick it in a freezer bag, and I'm going to put that back in the freezer for a different meal. So this is a great shortcut when you are already making a big batch of beans so that you don't have to resort to using canned beans. You can always just freeze the extra. My cardiologist doesn't want me using canned beans, so this is my alternate. So I'm just going to let this thaw. The enchiladas is a super quick meal. It's almost going to be over before it starts. So where I have already cooked up these beans and they were frozen, I am just warming them in the skillet to finish defrosting them. And I want to thicken them up and get rid of a lot of that liquid. If you do not have this shortcut already in your freezer, you can just simply doctor up a can of pinto beans, things like onion, garlic, cumin, and paprika. Once the liquid starts to dry up, we're going to go ahead and add in our chicken and we're going to mix. And that is going to really thicken up this mixture. If you want a thinner enchilada mixture, just don't simmer it quite this long. Depending on what you want the texture of the inside of your enchilada to be, you can make it thicker or thinner. I'm making mine a little bit thicker because I want it to have a decent consistency when I cut into it, because remember, we're going to put cheese and we're going to put sauce. And so I don't want it to be like a complete pile of mush. I want it to have a little bit of texture. I'm using carb balanced tortillas. You can use whatever tortillas you normally would. I'm using this queso quesadilla cheese I got from Sam's Club, but you can use whatever shredded cheese you've got. I personally prefer the jarred enchilada sauces, and I love the Siete brand because it's lower in sodium and it has better ingredients. But by all means, you can use whatever enchilada sauce you like. This tends to be a little bit pricier, so if you're on a budget, I would use a cheaper brand. And then we're going to be putting our enchiladas in this large size, family size casserole dish. Next, we're just going to spoon a little bit of our enchilada sauce into the bottom of the pan, just to give our enchiladas something to rest on. Then we're going to wrap up all of our enchiladas and place those in our baking dish. I sped this up so you don't have to watch it in real time. But once we have all of our enchiladas wrapped, then we are going to top our tray of enchiladas with as much sauce as you want and spread it evenly over the top, followed by cheese over the top. I'm using quesadilla cheese, but use whatever you have. Cover and bake at about 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. I chopped up just a little bit of cilantro to garnish at the end. After 30 minutes and they come out of the oven, we're just going to uncover it and bake again for another 10 minutes uncovered. All right, guys. Ooh, look at them bubbling and nice and browned up on the top. That's about another 10 minutes in the oven, and the cheese is all bubbly and browned up on the top. Oh my Lord. So there are 5 humongous enchiladas here. So I'm going to suggest about 1 to 1.5 enchiladas per person. That should be quite a bit of food. When it comes out of the oven, just garnish with cilantro. And then I'm just going to go ahead and plate up one of these for my largest meal of the day today to go with this giant salad. Well, guys, I'm certainly eating like a king today. As soon as I'm done with this huge lunch, I am going to go for a walk with my dog. I have this ginormous enchilada. And of course, anytime you're eating something that's super hearty like this, a great option to kind of lighten it up is to limit the quantity of it and put it with a salad like this, because it is very filling, but at the same time it's light, and we have tons of veggies here. We have plenty of protein, tons of veggies, and then we have a healthy dessert. This is some vanilla yogurt topped with a banana, so we've got a little bit of fruit, and we've got even more protein. So although we didn't have a whole lot of chicken to use in this, we have a ton of protein in this meal. All right, guys, so it is time to dig in. Wait till you see this. Everything good right there. I made a bad decision to wear a white shirt today. This was not a good decision. This meal was incredibly fast. It is really delicious. Checks all the boxes. This is a naughty thing to eat, but I'm only eating one. I'm bulking it up with this ginormous salad and my yogurt with banana, but I am going to relish every bite of this. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I want to enjoy my food. This is so good. Make sure you make this. So easy, so good. Bye. Next up, tostadas. If you only try one dish from this video, make sure you try this one. Quick rundown of our ingredients. Because this is Mexican inspired, cumin is kind of a given. I'm all out of the ground cumin. If you've got ground cumin, which I think most of you probably do, use that. Paprika and chili powder, as well as onion powder and some garlic, or you can use fresh garlic, you can use powdered garlic. I've got a little bit of diced up onion, some lime, and my chicken leg quarter. So that's basically 3 pieces of chicken. That's the wing, the leg, and the thigh, plus fresh made black beans or canned black beans if you don't have it fresh made. And then our cilantro. Cilantro is totally optional, but this is going to give it a nice flavor. And then we have our butternut squash. And our tostadas. I am lucky I have a nice Mexican store. These are fresh. Yesterday, I did some of the prep work. I had a butternut squash, so I cubed it up. I'm not going to be using the entire butternut squash in this recipe. You can find butternut squash on sale. It can actually last for quite a long time. Shelf life of these are really good, assuming you don't cut it up. You want to use it up once you cut it up, but until you cut it up, that butternut squash can last for quite a while. So here I want to eyeball about enough squash for 4 people. The butternut squash is a little bit of a sweet flavor. So in any case, I'm just thinking maybe approximately enough for 4 people, but there's going to be other ingredients. This is going to become smaller as it cooks because it does have quite a bit of water content in the vegetable. So I think this should be about good. And you know what? If I have a little bit extra, I can just eat it for a snack. So it's no big deal there. So I guess I cooked about half of my butternut squash, maybe just a little bit less than half. So I want to keep the seasonings really simple. I will season this dish as a whole when I cook it up. But for right now, I've got some pink Himalayan salt and some pepper. So we're just going to keep it real simple. We're just going to season this with a little bit of salt and pepper. I prefer the Himalayan pink salt. This is an unprocessed salt. It does have trace minerals. It is still salt. You know, it still has sodium. It's still something that can drive up my blood pressure. It's still something that I need to limit, but I feel like using an unprocessed salt and also one that does at least have some trace minerals is better for my health. So I have started using this Himalayan pink salt in my house. And then this is some fresh cracked black pepper. There's nothing that can compare to fresh cracked black pepper. I don't buy it already ground because I just feel like you're missing out on so much of the flavor that comes with grinding your pepper fresh. Salt and pepper, high quality olive oil. This is another thing that I don't compromise on in my house. So much of the olive oil that we have on the market is not even that good a quality. It comes from like a lot of the olive oil that you find, you look on the back and it will say it's from 10 different countries. How can you possibly guarantee the quality of your olive oil if you don't even know where it comes from? That is why I buy higher quality olive oil. I have a local store here, Mediterranean store, product of Lebanon. This is from one country. You know, not a big batch of things coming from 10 different countries, because I just don't think that someone could guarantee me the quality of my olive oil if I don't even know which continent it is coming from. So anyway, I digress. I'm going to add some olive oil to my butternut squash. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a toss with clean hands, obviously. I'm going to just put it into a single layer. I'm going to put this in a 375-degree oven until it is soft, it is cooked, and it is caramelized on the outside. This dish is super quick to put together once you have chopped up your ingredients and you have them ready to go. So I'm just going to put some olive oil in my pan, and I need to turn it on and get it hot. All I have is the whole cumin. I don't have the ground cumin. It's probably more likely that most people have the ground cumin on hand. So if you don't have the whole cumin, you can skip this step and go straight to adding your onion and garlic to your pan instead. But since I have whole cumin, this is best if I toast it. You don't want to brown it. I mean, you want to brown it. You want to toast it. You don't want to burn it. So I'm going to add that to my oil. You can see how this is simmering in the oil. That's what you want. That's all good flavor that's being released into our olive oil. So now that I have toasted up my cumin, I'm going to also go ahead and add in some onion. Next, we're going to add in our garlic. Everything is to taste, including the garlic. I basically like a metric ton of garlic, so that's why I'm putting a lot, but you just put it according to your taste preference. So next, we want to continue building our flavors in the pan. So the next step will be to add in our powdered spices. We want to keep this moving the entire time that we're adding these powdered spices, but that is just going to help us build and amp up our flavor. So I'm going to start by putting some onion powder in my skillet. All of this is to taste. And then this is paprika. Paprika, you want to toast it, but you don't want it to burn. And then finally the chili powder. So just add some chili powder as well. These are all good Mexican seasonings, and they are going to create a delicious Mexican taste profile for our dish. So just make sure once you've added them that you keep all of those spices moving around in the pan, because you don't want any of those to burn. Now we're going to add our juice of 1 lime, because this slight acidity is going to balance our butternut squash because it's just a little bit sweet. And once we've added that in, we're also going to have just a little bit of extra moisture in the pan, so just mix it around and add that delicious butternut squash that we roasted in the oven earlier. If you don't have butternut squash, you could do sweet potato instead, but I really liked the butternut squash, so I highly recommend that. Mix it all together, and then we're going to add in, we're just going to adjust with salt and pepper as desired. So just, you know, you want to have a little bit of salt and pepper in this dish as you're building it. Then we're going to go ahead and add our rotisserie chicken as well as our black beans. And we're just going to give it a good mix and combine all of these ingredients with all of that spice and garlic and all of those flavors that we built in the beginning of this dish. We want to just mix it all together and bring all the flavors together. Mash it ever so slightly. Seriously, guys. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It's so simple, but the flavors are intense. Adding in our cilantro, that's going to give it a nice color, and it's going to bring about a freshness. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world, but I think it's pretty obvious the pop of color, and then the flavor is, it's really going to add a little something, something. Look how simple that was. All fresh ingredients. But this should definitely be enough to feed 4 people 3 tostadas. And even with a very big appetite, that should be plenty of food. Yeah, I wish you could smell it. It smells so good. I'm so excited. I'm so hungry also. I feel like I'm always so hungry. But I am really, really excited to eat this. So anyhow, enough with the jibber jabber. Let me get this on a plate. Let's eat this. I'm starving. Okay guys, so it is time to try our delicious tostadas. I wish you guys could smell this. I have just topped it off with a little bit of salsa. You can use whatever salsa you have on hand. It smells like a Mexican kitchen in here. This is going to be unbelievable. I've never made this before. And the way that it seriously smells delicious in here. So you can always bulk this up as much as you want. I have made about enough for 4 people. But if you have more than 4 in your household and you need to stretch this to 5 or 6, you could very easily add like another can of beans and a little bit more butternut squash, and this would be amazing to feed even more people. But what I have here is about enough for 4. I'm gonna just taste it, but I know it's gonna be good. It smells so good. So good, so simple. In fact, this would make a good quesadilla filling. It would make a good enchilada filling. You could use this filling, it would make a good taco filling. You could really use this filling in a lot of different ways. Oh my goodness. This might just be one of the best things I've ever made. I've made a lot of things. If you don't have butternut squash, if I didn't have butternut squash, I would have probably used some sweet potato in exactly the same way. Dice it up, cube it up, cook it in the oven, and literally the exact same thing. But I'll be honest, and I have done black bean and sweet potato, and that is a very good combination. But this butternut squash, I think, is better than the sweet potato. Oh my. I'm gonna go finish and enjoy my brunch. I'm tossing in my veggie scraps. That's parsley scraps, onion scraps, carrot scraps. And I've already washed these vegetables before I cut them up, but I'm going to go ahead and just give it one more good rinse just for good measure to make sure there's no more dirt or debris. There's no celery in the soup, but I've gone ahead and cleaned up the celery for snacking later on, and I've used those veggie scraps. And I've added all of the veggie scraps into my Instant Pot. And now I'm adding in all the rest of the veggie scraps. And make sure you remove that twine that's on the rotisserie chicken. I remember to do it, fortunately, right before I turned it on. I saw it sticking out up there. So we're going to add water to about the halfway point, as well as 2 bay leaves. And then we're just going to pressure cook this for 45 minutes. You could go up to an hour probably, but I'm in a hurry today to get dinner on the table, so I'm just going to do 45 minutes of high pressure, followed by about 10 minutes of natural pressure release. And that will give us a delicious homemade broth. From the remainder of the chicken on the bone, this is what I managed to salvage. So we're going to put this chicken in our soup. I had one zucchini in the fridge that was looking a little rough, so I trimmed it up, and I'm going to stick that in my soup. And then I had 2 carrots left, so I'm going to put those in my soup. Here's a diced up onion and 2 diced up potatoes. So these are the veggies and the chicken that's going into the soup. Meanwhile, my broth is over here, and it's going to be a little bit of time before I can cook this soup. But once the broth is done, it only takes a few minutes for me to add this and a little salt and a few seasonings, and we can make our soup. As our protein source, because that is not going to be enough protein for 4 people. In order to bump up our protein, we are going to include 1 cup of this split mung. This is going to increase the protein in the soup and make it suitable for 4 people. So to prepare this ingredient, I have simply added 1 cup to this bowl, and I have rinsed it until the water ran clear. This cooks very fast and it's easy to digest, so there's no soaking required. So then we're going to go ahead and drain our broth from one Instant Pot to the other. So I've cleaned up my extra Instant Pot insert, and I have added my diced up onion and olive oil. Cook this on saute until they are caramelized and soft. I added 2 more bay leaves to these onions as they cook. They are now browned up. Next, we're going to add in some garlic, and we're going to saute that in the oil for a couple of seconds. Next, in goes our vegetables. This soup comes together in just a couple of minutes. Once that broth is done, the rest of it is easy peasy. So all the vegetables go in, the chicken goes in, and those lentils go in. Last but not least, our broth goes in, our homemade broth. We'll just give it a little bit of a stir to mix everything around. And then we're going to add our seasonings in, salt and pepper to taste, about a half a tablespoon of coriander powder and 1/8 of a teaspoon each of cayenne and turmeric powder. Give it another little mix. Pop on the Instant Pot lid, and then we're going to set it for high pressure cook for 6 minutes. Once that 6 minutes cook time is up, allow 10 minutes natural pressure release, and it is done. Stir in a little bit of parsley if desired, and serve it up. I am serving mine with a little bit of bread tonight. This is one of my favorite soups, and with the extra lentils in there, we get plenty of protein. And Roxy finally got her walk. We had to go for a walk to burn off all this food. I'll catch you all on the next one.